On Epic and 3, 2, 1. Tracks my cue dissolve.
Caught on television, Mark the cameraman going crazy here. Well, 2010 was a big year in Hollywood. You had Mel Gibson's hate-filled rants against his girlfriend, remember that? The death of the veteran actor Tony Curtis. And who could forget Lindsay Lohan's stint in jail, followed up by rehab? Well, I can, because I don't really care. But CNN's entertainment correspondent, Alan Duke, he dropped in to Backstory headquarters last week on vacation from Hollywood to wrap up some of the year's big stories for us. We were talking before we came in here to the studio about something you got on your BlackBerry, which actually is a fascinating topic, and that is how your sort of reporting has had to change with the technological age. Just tell us what happened.
Well, yes, I live with my BlackBerry, and just a few minutes ago I got a message from one of our producers who was in touch with the people who are close to Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt to tell us that the online reports and the tabloid reports that they were secretly married in Africa are not true. A large percentage of my time is spent responding to BlackBerry messages that someone on Twitter is saying that such and such is dead. I mean, we get it almost every day, or that such and such did this, and we have to check it out.
So these reports come out, you have to check it out. If it's saying, like, what was it, Morgan Freeman was dead, somebody else...
Yesterday, it was Aretha Franklin
Yeah.
2 or 3 days ago. Twitter reports, it just goes, and it's just not true, but we have to call the publicists or other sources and shoot it down.
And so instead of being able to go out and do your job, you spend half your time disproving rumours that are out there. And that's essentially a byproduct of the Twitter age, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Twitter is a great tool to help us know things and find people, but it also, any tool can get in the way. But it's an interesting thing in this age to have to deal with.
Yeah. Well, now, the other thing, too, is when it comes to these sorts of things, Michael Jackson, his death springs to mind. CNN, of course, is held to higher standards in a lot of these online websites.
Right. I was there in the emergency room when Michael Jackson they were trying to revive him, and we pretty well knew that he was dead, but we couldn't really or wouldn't really report it until we had a certain official assurance that it was true. And so by some people were criticized, oh, CNN wasn't the first to say he was dead, but we were the ones who knew it was an absolute fact because the coroner told us that, and we wait for the official sources or unofficial sources that we know actually know what they're talking about.
And a lot of people didn't believe it until it was on CNN because they know about the cross-checking that goes on and the old journalistic standard. It's better, you don't want to be first if you're not right. It's better to be right than first.
Because you're wrong forever.
Yes, exactly. Talking Michael Jackson, Conrad Murray, what's happening with that?
He's in court this next week, starting Tuesday. I'll be there sitting in the courtroom, one of, I think, just 10 journalists allowed in the preliminary hearing, which essentially is a mini trial where the prosecutors have to lay out their case as to why they think that Michael Jackson's last doctor was responsible for his death, involuntary manslaughter, which could land him in prison for up to 4 years.
What else is coming up? You've got a few things on your plate, haven't you?
Lindsay Lohan gets out of rehab next week, and we'll see how that goes. And we also have sentencing for the Anna Nicole psychiatrist and her lawyer boyfriend, who were convicted on some charges relating to her death.
I've got to ask you, one story that's fascinated me lately was the death of this publicist in Los Angeles, very well known, shot dead as she's driving along a street. What's going on with that story?
Well, a lot of her friends and family don't believe the Beverly Hills police when they say they've solved the murder, that it was this ex-convict who was on the streets, living desperately, riding on a bicycle, had a .38 caliber revolver, and that he was trying to rob her in a desperate attempt to get money, but it was unsuccessful, and that he shot her. People saying that is too simple. Of course, he killed himself 2 weeks later in a seedy apartment complex in Hollywood. It's an intriguing story, and it may not be over yet.
Give us a little bit of background on her, too. She's pretty well known, wasn't she?
Yes. In fact, we will be talking about her for the next several months because it's the award season. Oscars, the SAG Awards, the Golden Globe Awards, and a lot of her clients were those people who were contending for awards this year. And her job, her specialty was to get them nominated and then to get them to win the awards. So we'll be talking about her impact.